Hello and welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on MTV that knows how to buy torches in bulk. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge Season 36, Double Agents Episode 10, and in this episode we learn that Fessy used the same introvert speech that he used for Cory to get a smooch from Gabby. Then we have talking as if you're going to cry is not going to get you sent into the elimination, and two negatives do equal a positive if you multiply them, not add them. But let's start off where last episode left off, and that was Teresa and Casey going into the elimination against each other, Casey winning, getting her gold skull, and once we're back at the challenge house, that's when we have Devin and CT talking, and Devin is telling CT that he is #1 priority, that if he wins a daily challenge, he's gonna get him at least an opportunity to get his gold skull. And that's when CT's like, yeah, what about Gabby though, your partner? Wouldn't she wanna go in? And Devin's like, Gabby Schmabby. By the way, let's take a look at what Gabby Schmabby is talking about, and she is talking over there with Fessy, and she's like, I wanna go in. And that's when Fessy and her are talking, and Fessy's like, hey, if you do go in, you know you shouldn't stay with Devin, and you should pick me. And Gabby's like, that's such a great idea. Let's seal this with a kiss. And we actually see a smooch on screen from people that aren't in a current relationship. We'll see where this all transpires later down the line. The next morning, Nam and Lolo are talking at the breakfast table about their team dynamic, and of course they both see it from different angles. Of course, they're going to have an argument about this. Lolo keeps on saying Nam is stubborn. She keeps on saying that he's stubborn within the game, within their team dynamic. Nam is like, we are fire and ice, but I still think that we can work well with each other, so I don't think we need to split apart. And Lolo's just like, nah. Something else Lolo says that really gets me is when she's like, I've been catering so much to you, which she can feel that way, but as an audience member who's seen the edits, it does not seem like she's been catering to Nam this whole game. And Nam is even like, no, that's the exact opposite. You got this whole thing completely background. It's just a complete mess. It's an utter mess. Before we head off to the daily challenge for this episode, we get a quick conversation between Big T and Amber B about last week's decision. Amber B is thinking, maybe I should have went down against Teresa. When will I get another opportunity? When will I win another daily challenge? And Big T's like, hey, calm down, you don't know what's gonna happen. And Gabby listens into this conversation and is just rolling her eyes like, ugh, this is another Amber B situation. That's just her doing her thing, looking for attention. So there's still some tension between Gabby and Amber B, but we're gonna have to put that on the back burner as we move to this week's daily challenge called Black Ops Sand. And in this daily challenge, there are 100 torches that are lit. And what you're gonna have to do is run to one of these torches, dig up, and hopefully you find one of your 10 puzzle pieces. And once you do find all 10 of your puzzle pieces, you can start working on a totem puzzle. The first team to finish up their totem puzzle wins into the double agents and gets all the power this week. Also on this daily challenge, people can find puzzle pieces that aren't their own, and they can choose to either help out a different team by saying, hey, I found your puzzle piece, come get it, or you just keep on just reburying it and then you just move on to the next hole. You can benefit in this daily challenge if you have a lot of friends within the house, if you're in a big alliance within this house. But if you don't, that's a huge disadvantage unless you're terrible at putting puzzles together, and then if you find all your puzzle pieces, you have a better shot of winning than not. Well, let's move into this daily challenge. We see that the Big Brother Alliance is working together. No shocker there. Josh and Nani are getting the most benefit from this big alliance as we see them get their puzzle pieces very, very quickly by either them finding it or from Leroy and Casey or Fessy and Anissa. And then we also see the disadvantage happening within this daily challenge when people are finding, multiple people are shown finding Devin and Gabby's puzzle pieces, and then they're just like, let's just rebury that back up, let's just pat that sand down. Now I have to say that Lolo and Nam were actually working well with each other until Towards the very end of this daily challenge, Nam says that he hurt his lower back, and it really put a damper on things because it slowed them down towards the end of this daily challenge, and they could not find their last puzzle piece. They were on 9 of 10 for the longest time. So the 3 teams that get to 9 puzzle pieces first are Leroy and Casey, Devin and Gabby, Josh and Nani. And then Josh and Nani find their 10th puzzle piece first. They are the first ones to start on their totem puzzle. However, when starting this, they don't decide to look at the legend or the model of the totem first. They decide that we're just gonna go off on memory. Maybe if I squint hard enough, I can see it. Maybe if I put my hands as a telescope, it'll enhance it. That doesn't help out, as they're just trying to put the puzzle pieces together, and then all of a sudden they're just let's go find it. The next team to get their 10th puzzle piece is Cory and Amber M. Then it's CT and Big T, Devin and Gabby, Leroy and Casey. I really do like Gabby and Devin's strategy once they do find their midway point of their puzzle pieces, because then they're okay, we've found all of the ones. Let's go look into the holes that were already dug up, and we can see that they were all patted back down, because those probably have our puzzle pieces, which was the perfect strategy because they did find all their puzzle pieces. They got back into this game, and then they had a great strategy on one half is memorized by one person, the top half is memorized by the other person. CT and Big T actually get a check first. However, TJ says that was not the right answer. Devin and Gabby were able to snipe it before CT and Big T could right their wrongs, and Devin and Gabby wins this daily challenge for this episode, making them the double agents. And I have to say that I kind of had a feeling that this was going to happen, especially from the beginning conversations that happened in the beginning of this episode with Devin and CT. I was listening into that going oh boy, does this mean that they're gonna win? And they do, they did win. So to me, the foreshadowing in this season is so heavy. So to me, this was kind of set up from the very beginning of this episode. We moved back to the house where Devin is salivating over the power that he holds. He's telling Nam and CT that, oh, I got you. CT's number 1, but Nam, you're number 2 if it's something that you want. But guess what? The gold skull holders are gonna have to do what I tell them to, because I hold all the leverage. I hold all the power. And then Gabby's in the kitchen talking to everybody going well, I still want to go in, and I really want to go in probably against Josh and Nani, because I think I have a better shot of going up against them and winning. At the party, Devin makes his own VIP section, a Big Brother Sucks VIP section. Cory and Amber are talking about how they want to go into this elimination. They want to have a shot to get their gold skulls. Whether it's a guy's day or a girl's day, they both want to go down. And I have to say, this was perfectly played by Cory. I don't know what he said. I don't know how he got Amber M hyped, but he did, and now she's wanting to go in. I remember her and Michi. I remember it wasn't that long ago that in Deliberation, they were we don't want to go into the elimination. This is not us. No, thank you. We have Cory and Amber M partnered up, and Amber M's yeah, I really want to go in. I really, let's do this thing, and we're going to see this in Deliberation. It's a complete 180 from where she was with Michi to Cory, and I think that's beneficial on Cory, because Cory's a vet, and he's just I think gassed her up, hyped her up to be this is the perfect opportunity. Let's go down there. You can do this. You got this. And we saw this a little bit in the daily challenge where he's she wants to volunteer herself because she's a beast, because she wants it. And she's yeah, that's the plan. So I have to give it up for Cory. We don't get to see a lot of his strategy, but I think this was part of his strategy, and I have to give it up to him. We move on to one of 2 conversations that happen during the night between Gabby and Devin, and Gabby and Devin are talking. Gabby really wants to go into this elimination, but Devin is just not having it, and he's shutting it down. He makes the most sense strategically, and it's the best move for him, not necessarily Gabby. And can I just say, this reminds me, oddly enough, of when Devin and Tori won in drone control, and then Tori was I want to go in, and Devin's no, it's not the right time. I have my gold skull. We'll get you your gold skull. And this just exactly reminds me. It's deja vu of everything that's going on. We move over to another conversation where Devin is talking to Cam and Kyle about getting all the votes on Josh and Nani to send them into the elimination as the house vote. And that's when Josh comes in, and then the whole house has to intervene, because guess what? They don't want to hear another argument between Devin and Josh, and possibly more difficult math problems within that discussion and argument. So they have to shut it down. Devin walks away, But then later in the night, that's when Devin and Gabby have another conversation. This time it's a lot more heated between the two. They both want to do something, but they're both shutting each other down, and I can tell it's just super frustrating to them. Speaking of frustrating, the next morning, Nam and Lolo decide to have a blowout out in the workout area with Casey standing there. They sound like an old married couple. They sound like a relationship of 7 years that they are just like with each other because they are comfortable, but yet they're not comfortable because they're making everybody else uncomfortable with how much they're yelling at each other within this game. And that's when Nam and Lolo are like, we want to be the House vote. But Casey's like, no, you don't have the numbers. You don't have the pull within the House. Just because you want to be the House vote doesn't mean that you can be the House vote. And this whole conversation and argument ends with them saying that they're going to give each other space for eternity, and then they just walk off angrily from each other. Now let's go over to the Deliberation, where Amber M and Cory actually speak up about how they want to be the House vote and that they want to go into the elimination, so vote them. And that's when Lolo talks like this the whole time in her conversation. Like, it's just really, really tough, and it's so hard to do this game with somebody. It just hit a point. I think everybody in that Deliberation heard that and was just like, yeah, no, thank you, next, you're not going to be doing that. We're not going to send you in. In the voting process, we see CT and Kyle vote Josh and Nany, Nam and Lolo vote for themselves, and then everybody else in this house vote in Amber M and Cory, even Amber M and Cory. And that's when we get to the secret deliberation, and Devin is pissed because it's Amber M and Cory. He thinks that's a boring decision. He is frustrated because his plan to throw in Josh and Nany did not work out. So now he's finding out that he doesn't have as much leverage as he does. And to harken back to a conversation that Nany and Leroy had with each other, this is going to put a bigger target on Devin. That gold skull is just getting more and more like tantalizing to look at because he's doing all of this. He's trying so hard. He is making or trying to make all these moves happen, pissing a lot of people off to where everyone who doesn't have a gold skull is like looking at him going like, yeah, that's the gold skull I want. And it's not going to be that hard to get him sent down into the elimination, I feel, because of how much he is trying to do. He is trying to do the most this episode. So now, in the secret deliberation, Devin is trying to work off the cuff. He's like, all right, let's throw in Cam and Kyle. Let's throw in Fessy and Anissa. And Gabby's like, no, that's dumb. I think it's a girls' elimination. I want to go down. When they're leaving this secret deliberation, it is between Big T and CT, Josh and Nany, or Amber B and Darrell as who they're going to throw in against Amber M and Cory. Speaking of the elimination, let's move on to this week's elimination. And as everyone is coming into the crater, they can see that a hall brawl is set up, meaning this is 100% a women's elimination day. We've already had the guys' hall brawl. Now it's going to be the women's hall brawl. The compromised agents, TJ reveals, is Cory and Amber M. They come down and join him on the crater floor, and that's when TJ looks up and says, hey, Gabby, what's your vote? Do you want to come down here? And Gabby's like, no, I don't want to come down here. And TJ's like, really? You don't want to come down here? In the Aftermath show, walking in and seeing a hall brawl, Devin said that Gabby looked at Devin and was like, nope, I'm not going to go down there. So she doesn't succumb to TJ's peer pressure, and she's like, no, thank you. I'm going to vote in Darrell and Amber B. Devin backs up his partner, and so Darrell and Amber B are going into this week's elimination against Cory and Amber M, which is a women's elimination, duh. I mean, TJ tried to say it like it was a big old secret, but it wasn't really a secret because we kind of knew from the hall brawl setup, but he was also pressuring Gabby so hard. Like, why would he pressure her that much if it wasn't a women's day? So anyways, it's going to be Amber v. Amber, which we could feel was coming from the past couple of episodes where they were butting heads with each other. So now it is Amber B and Amber M going up against each other in a hall brawl with a twist. So this is going to be like the T-Bone elimination from Rivals, where you're going to have to take a ball from your end, go through this little hallway, hit into each other, and then transfer the ball over there. The first person to transfer all three of your balls to the other side wins this elimination, gets their gold skull, stays in the game, and your opponent is Vamanu's kicked out of this game. This was pitiful. This was tough to watch. My goodness. First of all, Gabby made the worst decision by not going up against Amber M in this elimination. I think seeing it's a hall brawl is very intimidating, even though it was against Amber M. It's also a best friend to her, so I get it, but it's also a scared way to play. It's a scaredy cat way to play because she was like, no thank you, I don't want to go in there, and Amber B just absolutely demolishes Amber M. Amber M is dropping balls. Amber B is lapping Amber M. It's not even like, oh my gosh, this also reminds me of like Laurel versus Jasmine in Balls In and Free Agents. It was just super lopsided. I don't even know what else to say. I mean, Amber B wins this thing easily, but it was just really, really tough to watch. It was, oh my gosh. Like, the gold moment, the gold comment of this episode was CT saying that when the challenge gods made the hall brawl, this was not what they had in mind, and I think they wept. They were either like crying, laughing because of how laughable this elimination was, or they were crying because of how just absolutely pitiful and cringy it was. Either way, Amber B wins. Amber M is sent home. No surprise there, and Amber B decides to stay with her partner Darrell. She didn't even let TJ finish. She's like, hold on, I'm gonna let you finish, TJ, but I'm just gonna let you know that I'm gonna stay with Darrell, my partner. And Cory is yet again another rogue agent for this game, so he's gonna be safe for yet another week because it's going to be a guy's day next week, so he's gonna be safe another week. But that is it for this episode. This is where this episode ends. What do you think about this episode? Let me know that in the comment section below. What did you think about this daily challenge? What did you think about Devin and Gabby's whole team dynamic here? Do you think Nam and Lolo will get to see an elimination to break apart from each other? What do you think is going to happen? And also, what do you think about this Hall Brawl matchup and results? Let me know that in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really, really soon with more Challenge 36 Double Agents content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.